You're watching someone scramble in real time, and it's not just dramatic, it's legal, it's public. And it's starting to spiral out of control. Blake Lively, once hailed as Hollywood's golden girl, is now facing what may be her most brutal reckoning yet. And this time it's not coming from a gossip magazine or a Twitter thread, it's coming from a lawyer. With nothing to lose and everything to expose. The tilted lawyer, a voice that has gained traction across platforms. For his sharp, unapologetic legal breakdowns, isn't mincing words anymore. In a recent viral clip, he declared that Blake Lively won't be smug for long, directly calling out what he described as BS subpoenas and a legal deposition strategy that, according to him, is less about facts and more about deflection. If you thought this legal battle was already messy, just wait. Because now respected voices in the legal community are stepping forward, and they're not pulling punches. What's unfolding isn't just about one celebrity's reputation, it's about what happens when power, privilege, and public image collide with hard legal facts. From the alleged delays to her deposition to a growing mountain of criticism over her legal team's controversial subpoena tactics, the walls might be closing in faster than Blake ever expected, and according to some, the smugness that once dominated her courtroom persona is starting to fade into something very different: panic. In this multi-part deep dive, we'll unpack everything the tilted lawyer had to say, reveal the new cracks showing in Blake's legal armor, and explore why some insiders believe this may be the moment her entire strategy unravels. Let's begin. In the span of just 72 hours, a clip of the tilted lawyer, a pseudonymous but increasingly popular legal commentator, hit over 3 million views. The video, originally posted on a live stream platform and then clipped for social media, features the lawyer reviewing a set of public filings from Blake Lively's ongoing legal dispute with Justin Baldoni. He didn't hold back. This isn't about protecting reputations anymore. This is about delaying the inevitable. Blake's team is throwing subpoenas like spaghetti at a wall, hoping something sticks. That line alone set fire to legal TikTok, an ex formerly Twitter, with users dissecting every moment of the live stream. His claim that Blake Lively's attorneys aren't just pursuing justice, they're pursuing a cover. He further alleges that the way Blake's legal team issued broad, sweeping subpoenas to commentators, bloggers, and independent reporters is not only a scare tactic, it's a smokescreen, one meant to distract from what really matters: her own pending deposition. When you have something to hide, you make noise. That's what these subpoenas are: noise. He cited the fact that Lively has reportedly delayed her deposition multiple times, citing scheduling conflicts, stress, and even potential threats. But as the tilted lawyer pointed out, public court records show no emergency orders or medical documentation that would justify such delays, and that's just scratching the surface. One of the most controversial moves in Blake Lively's legal playbook has been her team's decision to subpoena multiple online content creators, some of whom had only discussed the case in commentary form. This isn't a criminal trial. We're not talking about suppressing evidence. We're talking about commentary, and these subpoenas, they're chilling. Legal analysts are starting to rally behind that sentiment. Many argue that the subpoenas Blake's lawyers issued appear less interested in securing facts and more interested in intimidating critics. And now that prominent voices like the tilted lawyer are putting it into public discourse, Blake's strategy is facing growing scrutiny, not just from fans but from former legal allies as well. In his breakdown, the lawyer emphasized a key point: subpoenas are tools, not weapons. When used improperly, they can backfire, and badly. In fact, legal experts warn that misusing subpoenas to target critics or journalists can trigger ethical reviews by bar associations. If Blake's team thinks this tactic won't attract consequences, they're mistaken, the lawyer said. Judges don't take kindly to bullying behind the guise of legal process. At the core of the drama is Blake Lively's long-awaited deposition, a sworn testimony under oath and a critical moment in any civil legal dispute. As of now, Blake's deposition has been rescheduled at least twice with her attorneys, citing logistical issues. But to outside observers, including the tilted lawyer, the delay appears more strategic than coincidental. Every day she avoids that room is a day she stays unaccountable, he said. Court documents reportedly show that Justin Baldoni's legal team has made multiple requests to schedule the deposition, only to be met with vague responses and shifting timelines. And while Lively's team argues that the delay is procedural and within their rights, others suggest it's a stalling tactic meant to run the clock and perhaps even reach a private settlement before facing public questioning. Whether it's avoidance or strategy, the optics are damaging. The public isn't blind to the patterns, especially when multiple influential figures are starting to raise red flags. It wasn't long ago that Blake Lively was seen as the media darling, savvy, stylish, and endlessly composed, but in the past few weeks the tone has shifted dramatically. Insiders are whispering that some of her longtime Hollywood allies are distancing themselves, quietly citing unease about how the legal fight is unfolding. That unease only grew after her team attempted to subpoena popular cultural commentators, who simply referenced the case. Even actress-turned-activist names have chimed in with cryptic posts, some implying that using legal resources to silence discussion is not a good look, especially for someone who built her brand on advocacy, feminism, and transparency. She's built a persona around grace and strength. These tactics don't align with that, said one industry insider. While the tilted lawyer may have been the first to go viral, he's not alone in his critique. Multiple licensed attorneys on social platforms have weighed in with varying degrees of caution. One lawyer wrote, "If the goal is to create public sympathy, this is backfiring. It looks aggressive, it looks desperate, and the legal logic is shaky." Another shared a lengthy thread analyzing the ethics of subpoenaing commentary creators, concluding that it might be grounds for a counter-motion or even a court sanction if deemed abusive. That's where things get complicated for Blake's legal team, because if they push too hard without clear legal grounding, they risk not only losing the PR battle but also facing disciplinary action. Public reaction hasn't been favorable either. Many fans who once admired Lively for her poise and platform are now calling her out for what they perceive as bullying and silence shaming. Popular comments include, "You don't serve subpoenas to silence bloggers unless you're scared of what they'll say. Why delay your own deposition if you have nothing to hide? This isn't the Blake we thought we knew." Hashtags like hashtag subpoena smokescreen and hashtag let her speak have begun to trend intermittently, while memes mocking the legal tactics are circulating across Reddit, X, and Instagram. The situation is quickly becoming a cultural moment, a referendum not just on Blake's legal standing but on her public credibility. As scrutiny mounts over the subpoenas issued by Blake Lively's legal team, public focus is shifting to what exactly those subpoenas demand. And according to newly surfaced legal documents and testimony from multiple content creators who received them, the requests are expansive, borderline invasive. Sources close to the case have leaked that Blake's legal team is demanding the following from several creators: full names and identifying information, all internal emails and direct messages related to the case, IP logs and metadata, access to Patreon, Ko-fi, or monetized content platforms. For potential financial motive evaluation, any unposted or draft commentary. This aggressive data collection move has raised significant alarm in the legal community. Critics argue that this approach ventures far outside the reasonable boundaries of a civil subpoena and verges into the realm of intimidation. The tilted lawyer addressed this specifically in a follow-up livestream. "If you're asking for unpublished drafts, internal communications, and platform monetization records from creators who are not parties to the lawsuit, you're not searching for the truth, you're searching for leverage. And that leverage," he implied, "may not be intended for the courtroom. It may be meant for social perception and personal silencing." While Blake's attorneys were busy sending subpoenas to creators and commentators, Justin Baldoni's legal team remained focused on one key issue: Blake's repeated delays in appearing for deposition. Now, according to sources close to the matter, Baldoni's lawyers are preparing a formal motion to compel testimony, a legal filing that would ask the court to force Blake to appear or face sanctions. Insiders revealed that the motion to compel is imminent and may include detailed evidence showing repeated scheduling attempts, email threads with her team, and even contradictory statements made in public and private by her legal reps. What's more, Baldoni's lawyers are reportedly planning to argue that Blake's tactics have moved beyond delay and into active obstruction. "We will be requesting the court's intervention," a legal team member was overheard saying during a recorded strategy session leaked to the press. "This is no longer about timing. This is about dodging. If the motion is granted, Blake could be court-ordered to testify under oath within a strict timeframe, likely 14 to 21 days. Failure to comply could result in fines or even further legal jeopardy in the form of sanctions, or an evidentiary default, meaning the court could assume adverse conclusions about her refusal to testify." In his latest breakdown, the tilted lawyer went beyond the subpoena issue and turned to the bigger picture: the potential misuse of civil litigation as a form of intimidation. He opened with a piercing observation: "This is the kind of legal strategy that looks good on a whiteboard in a Manhattan law office, but it collapses in public court when judges see through it." He warned that if Blake's lawyers are intentionally targeting creators with disproportionate subpoenas as a way to pressure or frighten them into silence, they could be subject to court sanctions themselves. More than that, he said it opens the door to a broader counter-litigation campaign based on First Amendment violations or abuse of process. In plain terms, this could backfire badly. Some of the creators targeted have already stated publicly that they are seeking legal counsel to challenge the subpoenas, and if they do, Blake's team may find themselves mired in multiple side litigations, taking attention away from the central case. It's a mess, the lawyer said. And the messier it gets, the worse it looks for the one trying to control the narrative. Several content creators who received subpoenas have now begun organizing behind the scenes. Some are talking to First Amendment lawyers, others are speaking out in videos and statements accusing Blake's team of trying to weaponize the legal system. One well-known commentator said, "I've covered dozens of celebrity legal battles. I've never been subpoenaed until now. What does that say?" The response online has been swift and supportive. Legal defense funds are starting to circulate, and some creators have vowed to fight the subpoenas in court even if it means going public. With more behind-the-scenes details, some are even asking whether Blake's team misrepresented the facts in their subpoena requests, an accusation that could raise serious ethical questions. This organizing effort appears to have blindsided Blake's legal team, who expected quiet compliance, not coordinated resistance. And it's only escalating. Behind the glossy magazine covers and red carpet smiles, Hollywood runs on reputation and alliances. And right now, Blake's once flawless standing appears to be showing cracks. Insiders close to multiple A-listers have whispered that calls aren't being returned, and that certain publicists are advising clients to stay neutral. In entertainment terms, that's code for she's radioactive right now. This soft distancing has been noted by fans as well. There's been noticeably less social media support from high-profile friends. In recent weeks, Blake, who once exchanged daily comments and shoutouts with her tight-knit circle of actors, has gone strangely silent. And so have they. Even more telling, a publicist for one well-known actor who has worked with Blake in the past recently posted a now-deleted message about celebrities abusing legal systems to silence criticism. Though no name was mentioned, the timing left little room for doubt. In addition to the tilted lawyer, other legal professionals have begun voicing concern over Blake's strategy. Several prominent attorneys on legal analysis platforms have pointed out the lack of specificity in her legal team's filings, calling them thin, vague, and poorly structured for actual enforcement. One practicing litigation attorney shared this: "If your goal is to protect your client, you do not widen the battlefield unnecessarily. Bringing in content creators, demanding metadata, and delaying your own client's testimony. That's not protective, that's chaotic." Another lawyer echoed those concerns, pointing out that public sentiment matters more than ever in high-profile litigation. Legal maneuvering that appears overly aggressive or vindictive can undermine the entire case by alienating jurors, judges, and the public. It's a fine line between assertive legal strategy and reckless overreach, they said, and right now it looks like Blake's team is losing balance. Some analysts believe the only path forward for Blake now involves some form of public accountability, whether that means issuing a statement about the subpoenas, withdrawing them entirely, or even sitting for her deposition earlier than expected. The consensus is growing. She can't stay silent much longer. Publicists and crisis managers have already waited quietly, suggesting that the window for controlling the narrative is closing fast. She needs to say something fast, or someone else will fill in the blanks for her, said a high-profile reputation strategist. And those blanks are already being filled by creators, lawyers, former fans, and media outlets who no longer view her as untouchable. With Justin Baldoni's team ready to file a motion to compel creators, organizing legal defenses, and media interest growing daily, the stakes for Blake Lively have never been higher. She is now facing not just one courtroom but several: the court of law, the court of public opinion, the court of Hollywood influence, and in each, she appears to be losing ground. As the tilted lawyer said in his final thoughts, this isn't about whether Blake Lively is a good person. It's about whether she's using the legal system to avoid accountability and control public perception. If she has nothing to hide, then why is she hiding at the center of all this legal chaos beyond the subpoenas, the viral commentary, and the strategic delays? Is a single unavoidable truth: Blake Lively will have to sit for a deposition. And from what insiders are revealing, it's shaping up to be far more intense than anyone expected. Sources with knowledge of the case say Justin Baldoni's legal team has compiled a list of over 100 key questions, many based on text messages, internal emails, and contradictory public statements Blake has made in recent months. And according to the tilted lawyer, these questions are not surface level. She's not walking into a room full of softball questions, she's walking into a legal crucible. Among the questions reportedly prepared are topics related to her involvement in coordinating certain public statements, potential private communications with journalists, alleged contradictions between sworn filings, and social media activity, her exact role in the decision to subpoena commentators, her communications with a third-party PR firm during the litigation timeline. These lines of questioning, if accurate, would place Blake in a particularly vulnerable position, not just legally but reputationally. Any slip, any evasion, any inconsistency could become viral within hours of being recorded in the official deposition transcript. And that's why many believe the delays aren't coincidental, they're deliberate. A major development is expected next week. A judge is scheduled to rule on multiple pending motions, including Baldoni's motion to compel Blake's deposition, a protective order request from Blake's attorneys to suppress certain messages, a challenge to the legitimacy of the subpoenas issued to creators. This hearing could become the turning point. If the judge compels the deposition and orders the messages into discovery, Blake's entire legal strategy may be forced into overhaul. Worse still for her team, if the judge rules that the subpoenas were overly broad or improper, she could face public reprimand, and the creators targeted may have grounds to pursue legal redress. Judges don't like legal overreach, said a retired California civil court judge interviewed by Legalbooz. If she's using the system to chill speech, that won't end well. There's another layer to all this that Blake's team likely didn't anticipate: the growing media interest in covering the deposition as a story event. Major outlets from legal podcasts to pop culture YouTube shows are gearing up to report on every possible angle of the deposition, the pending rulings, and the fallout from the subpoena controversy. This isn't just legal drama, it's Hollywood drama with real stakes, said a senior editor at a digital culture publication. And the public loves watching power unravel. If the deposition takes place in the next 30 days, as expected, media outlets are already requesting access to the transcripts, while the deposition itself won't be filmed. Unless mutually agreed upon, the content will almost certainly leak. And when it does, every word will be analyzed, dissected, memmed, and quoted. As the smoke begins to clear from the whirlwind of subpoenas, deposition delays, and growing legal scrutiny, one thing becomes crystal clear. Blake Lively is facing a reckoning she did not anticipate. What once appeared to be a carefully orchestrated legal strategy has rapidly devolved into a chaotic PR nightmare, intensified by mounting pressure from both the courtroom and the court of public opinion. At the center of this firestorm is a very simple question: why the delays if Blake Lively has nothing to hide? Why not sit for a deposition, answer the questions truthfully, and allow the legal process to run its course? Why instead issue a series of wide-reaching subpoenas that have drawn criticism, not just from the public but from respected legal commentators and even civil rights watchdogs? What we're witnessing isn't just a celebrity legal spat, it's an unraveling of image control and power. Blake Lively, known for her polished public persona and calculated charm, is now caught in a battle she can no longer fully script. And as the tilted lawyer so aptly put it, she won't be smug for long. There was a time when the public, the media, and even her fellow celebrities gave Blake the benefit of the doubt. She was seen as someone who carried herself with elegance, who chose her words carefully, and who rarely found herself in the center of controversy. But the second she and her legal team crossed the line, moving from defense to aggressive offense, targeting independent voices and delaying accountability, the tone shifted, and fast. The media now smells blood in the water, and legal minds are circling with detailed breakdowns of her every move. What was once a simple court case is now a sprawling saga, involving alleged attempts to silence critics, shield private communications, and manipulate perception. If that's not a loss of control, what is? Let's not forget the significance of the subpoenas. In a world where commentary and public discourse thrive online, Blake's decision to issue subpoenas to creators, some of whom merely offered legal analysis or editorial opinion, struck many as deeply inappropriate. It wasn't just seen as a legal tactic, it was viewed as an assault on free speech. That alone may have cost her more in public favor than any courtroom loss could. Meanwhile, her refusal to sit for a deposition continues to be interpreted as avoidance. Her legal team insists on scheduling conflicts and strategic planning, but the public sees something else: fear. The refusal to be questioned under oath, especially in light of reports about explosive messages and potentially contradictory statements, paints a portrait of someone trying to dodge the inevitable, and the longer she waits, the more damning that image becomes. Justin Baldoni, for his part, has largely remained composed and methodical. His legal team has kept the focus on procedural integrity, requesting timely depositions, responding to filings, and pressing forward without personal spectacle. And in contrast to Blake's flurry of legal distractions, Baldoni's team is presenting itself as the rational party. That image, intentional or not, is resonating. One of the most damning revelations is the possibility of private text messages being admitted into evidence. Multiple insiders claim that these texts, which Blake's team has fought to suppress, may reveal critical inconsistencies between her public claims and her private intentions, and if the court rules to allow them into the record, Blake will face questions that can't be rehearsed or evaded. Then there's the question of damage control. Crisis PR teams can only do so much when the facts start slipping out of their control. At this stage, no amount of Instagram posts or soft focus interviews can rewrite a legal record. If Blake Lively wants to preserve what's left of her public image, she may need to embrace transparency, something her current approach seems designed to avoid. And what about the broader implications? Legal experts are already warning that this case is setting dangerous precedents. The attempt to subpoena creators and demand internal communications is being viewed as a test case in the weaponization of civil litigation. It's a line that, once crossed, invites others in power to do the same. That's why so many legal minds, including the tilted lawyer, are speaking up, not just to critique, but to warn. We must also acknowledge how this is playing out inside Hollywood. Whispers from publicists and insiders suggest that Blake's inner circle is shrinking. Friends who once posted glowing birthday tributes and red carpet selfies are now keeping their distance. No one wants to get caught in a wildfire, especially when they don't know where it ends, and it's not over. Far from it. There are still multiple rulings pending a judge's decision on whether to compel her deposition, motions to admit her text messages, and challenges to the subpoenas. Each ruling carries enormous weight, not just legally but symbolically. If the court sides with Baldoni, Blake's legal armor may crack wide open, and once that happens, it may be too late for any image recovery. The tilted lawyer has emerged as an unexpected hero in this unfolding drama, not because he's trying to destroy Blake Lively, but because he's asking the questions no one else in her orbit seems willing to. His commentary has resonated not because it's loud, but because it's grounded in law, logic, and integrity. And that contrast is making waves. In the end, this saga is about more than one deposition, more than one court filing, more than one celebrity feud. It's about accountability. And right now, Blake Lively is learning what so many others have discovered before her. No matter how carefully you craft your public image, no matter how powerful your legal team, you can't outrun the truth. The public is watching, the legal community is watching, and her silence, her delays, and her legal overreach are only making the spotlight brighter. So where does she go from here? There's still time for Blake to turn this around. She can comply with her deposition, release a clear and honest statement, withdraw the subpoenas, and let the facts speak for themselves. That move, though difficult, would show courage and leadership. It would demonstrate that she respects the legal process and the people caught in the crossfire. But if she continues to stall, if her team keeps targeting critics and suppressing transparency, then the damage may be irreversible, not just to her legal standing, but to the trust she once had with the public, with her peers, and with the very system she now appears to be challenging. For now, one thing is certain: this case is far from over, and the longer Blake Lively tries to hide behind paperwork, lawyers, and subpoenas, the louder the world will ask, what exactly is she so afraid of? And if the tilted lawyer is right, she won't be smug for long.